The millionaire was celebrating his engagement. Then ex-wife walked in holding his twins. Under the glittering chandeliers of the luxurious Ambrose Hotel ballroom, the tension was so thick you could slice it with a knife. Logan Carrington, a CEO celebrated for his business acumen, stood at the center of an engagement party, champagne flute in hand and a radiant fiancée on his arm. The crowd adored him, cameras flashing to catch every nuance of his triumphant moment. But just as his future seemed sealed with success and love, the doors swung open. His ex-wife, Alicia Bradford, appeared, trembling with resolve and clutching the hands of two little girls' twins who looked exactly like Logan. Logan Carrington had never felt more triumphant than he did the moment before Alicia walked into the ballroom. In that split second, he was a king surveying his kingdom, a prosperous technology empire, Carrington Innovations, an engagement ring sparkling on Ophelia Chambers' finger, and the admiring applause of Chicago's elite echoing around him. But in a single moment, it all transformed into a surreal haze of shock. In the hushed aftermath of Alicia's appearance, Logan froze, his heartbeat roaring in his ears. The jubilant atmosphere of the engagement celebration evaporated almost instantly. Guests looked on in shock. Half were employees from Logan's corporation, while others were high-profile associates from across Chicago's business community. He could sense Ophelia stiffen by his side. The engagement ring she wore, gleaming under the ballroom's opulent lighting, suddenly felt like a glaring spotlight on a life he no longer recognized. Alicia had been out of his world for years. Their divorce settlement was finalized amid heartbreak and confusion, both too proud and too wounded to maintain contact. Logan always assumed she never wanted children. She had been as ambitious as he was, and neither had spoken openly about raising a family. Yet here she was, standing at the edge of his new beginning, with two little girls clinging to her hands. The girls were identical in almost every feature, the same grey eyes Logan saw in the mirror each morning, the same delicate tilt of the chin. The recognition struck him like a thunderbolt. They had to be his daughters. Everything he thought he knew about Alicia, about their past, crumbled in an instant. His voice felt trapped in his chest, heavy with disbelief and 1,000 questions. Around him, the hum of gossip whispered through the crowd, camera flashes capturing the exact moment his old life collided with his new one. As if guided by a silent cue, Alicia started moving toward him, cheeks flushed with tension or embarrassment, or both. Each step echoed with the memories of a once glamorous partnership gone awry. At his side, Ophelia gripped his arm, as if uncertain whether to shield him or to protect herself from the unraveling spectacle. In the days of their marriage, Alicia had been known as the queen of startups, her innovations in data security catapulting her to the top echelons of tech. Together, she and Logan had conquered corporate conferences, media galas, and philanthropic fundraisers until the day they imploded under the strain of ambition and mistrust. Their divorce blindsided the tech community. The golden couple had fallen from grace. Now, as Alicia halted just a few feet from Logan, the twins peered up at him with timid curiosity. He wanted to ask a million things. How old are they? Where have you been? Why now? But no coherent words formed. The heaviness in the room was palpable, and before he could force out a question, Ophelia tugged gently at his sleeve, her eyes wide. "Logan, who are they?" she asked, voice quivering. His gaze flicked from Ophelia to Alicia, and finally settled on the small, frightened faces of the two girls. Something about their presence wrenched his heart into knots. The fatherly instinct he never knew he had rose within him, battling his shock and anger. Ophelia's voice broke the silence like a plea for explanation. "Logan, who are they?" she whispered again. She had trusted him implicitly. He always spoke of a failed marriage, but never of children. This new revelation rattled her faith in the straightforward narrative he'd provided. Logan cleared his throat, still incapable of forming a proper response. Alicia's eyes flickered with a mix of remorse and determination. She brought the girls forward, and one of them hid behind her legs, clutching a small stuffed bear. The other stared boldly at Logan, as if trying to decipher this tall, important man who looked so much like her. Alicia, Logan finally managed, his voice gravelly with emotion. "What is this?" "Are they mine?" Alicia nodded, and though words failed her at first, she squared her shoulders. "Yes," she said, her tone breaking. "They're your daughters, Logan." A collective gasp rippled through the onlookers. Logan felt anger coil within him, but also a staggering sense of loss for the years he had missed. Alicia had vanished so completely from his life that it never even occurred to him she might have been pregnant during their turbulent split. Before the avalanche of media speculation could bury them, Cynthia Townsend, Logan's PR guru, rushed forward and ushered them away from the prying eyes of the reporters. They needed privacy, something that had become a rare commodity under the glitzy lights of the Ambrose Hotel. Hotel security guided them into a smaller VIP lounge, shielding them from the flashing cameras and curious onlookers. Inside the lounge, the contrast was startling. The sudden hush after the public uproar felt oppressive. Ophelia stood to one side, her arms crossed protectively, while Alicia tried to calm the trembling twins. Logan hovered between them, torn by conflicting loyalties. He spotted familiar faces, peering through the glass doors, business associates, journalists, and guests who'd arrived to toast his engagement. Instead, they were witnessing a scandal of epic proportions. Logan's mind churned with questions. Why had Alicia stayed silent all these years? Why appear now at his engagement party of all times? Did she want revenge, money, or something else entirely? At last, he mustered the composure to speak. "Why?" he asked, voice raw. "Why would you keep them a secret?" Alicia, still kneeling by the twins, swallowed hard. "Because when I found out, I was already on the West Coast. Our relationship was toxic, Logan. We fought, we accused each other of things, and I was offered a chance to move on. By the time I discovered I was pregnant, I didn't think you'd want to be involved. I thought it was safer for everyone if we parted ways." "That wasn't your decision to make," Logan retorted, anger lacing every word. But even as he spoke, he saw the guilt in Alicia's eyes and recognized that her choice, right or wrong, had weighed heavily on her. The tension in the VIP lounge grew almost unbearable. Ophelia shifted, glancing at the twins with pity and confusion. She had never doubted Logan's portrayal of his past, an acrimonious divorce, but no children mentioned. Now, she faced a future that included not just a fiancé with complicated history, but two innocent girls who had no idea how drastically they'd just changed everyone's lives. Alicia tried to explain further. "When our marriage fell apart, I was in no shape to battle you over custody or financial support. I was scared. We fought with words that left me reeling, and all I wanted was to escape." Logan's jaw tightened, remembering the searing arguments, the bitter accusations of betrayal and sabotage. Their ambitions had clashed, their trust disintegrated. "I still deserve to know," he said quietly, gaze dropping to the girls. One fiddled with a stuffed bear, the other clung to Alicia's pant leg. Their eyes, though curious, revealed timid souls unprepared for the media frenzy they'd just walked into. Alicia nodded, tears pooling in her eyes. "You're right. I'm sorry. I know my reasons won't erase what I've done, but I'm here now because I need your help, my company. I'm about to lose it all, and I can't raise them alone if I have nothing left." Ophelia's heart twisted with compassion for the twins, but suspicion flared toward Alicia. Was this a carefully orchestrated ploy for financial rescue, or was it truly a desperate mother's plea? The swirling questions had no easy answers. A brief argument erupted between Logan and Alicia, anger at lost years, guilt over hidden secrets, and the shock of immediate fatherhood colliding all at once. Ophelia stood aside, wanting to intervene but unsure how. The twins cowered at the raised voices until Alicia knelt to soothe them. In that moment, Ophelia saw Alicia's genuine motherly devotion. Whatever mistakes Alicia had made, the care she showed the girls was unmistakable. Logan, for all his fury, also softened at the sight of the twins' fear. He crouched down, reaching out to them. "I'm not going to let anything bad happen," he murmured, though he wasn't sure how he would fulfill that promise. He was enraged at Alicia, but the presence of these fragile little souls redirected his anger. They had been caught in the crossfire of their parents' past. Ophelia exhaled. "Let's go somewhere safe." Away from reporters and the crowd, they collectively decided to leave the Ambrose Hotel. Cynthia Townsend worked quickly to distract the press, giving the family time to exit through a back corridor. The engagement party that was meant to be Logan's crowning moment had transformed into a quagmire of scandal. Their destination was Logan's penthouse atop one of Chicago's most exclusive high-rises. Normally, the immaculate living space was an oasis of calm for him and Ophelia. Tonight, it bristled with uncertainty and subdued tension. Logan punched in his private elevator code, and they ascended silently. The doors opened into a spacious living room with panoramic views of the city's skyline. Gleaming marble floors and elegant furnishings spoke of Logan's success, but the atmosphere was anything but celebratory. Alicia, unsure of her place in this environment, hovered near the entrance, while the twins gazed wide-eyed at the towering windows. Ophelia stayed close to Logan, her engagement ring feeling heavier than ever. Alicia watched them with a clouded expression before setting down the twins' small duffel bag. "I didn't plan for it to happen this way," she said quietly. Logan's face remained guarded. "How old are they?" he asked, voice subdued. 5, Alicia answered, her voice tight. "Amelia and Isabel. They were born 8 months after our divorce was finalized." Logan inhaled sharply. "Doing the math. 5 years, Alicia. 5 years without even telling me." Alicia's eyes glistened. "I know. I can't take it back. I'm sorry." Ophelia cleared her throat, sensing the gravity. "They must be exhausted. Let's get them settled. Then we can talk." Appreciating the suggestion, Logan led them to a guest bedroom. The twins followed, clutching Alicia's hand. The tension simmered beneath every step, fueled by guilt, regret, and an emerging sense of responsibility that neither Alicia nor Logan could ignore. Once the twins were tucked in, lulled by the fatigue of an emotionally charged day, Logan and Ophelia returned to the penthouse's main living area. Alicia lingered near the bedroom door, uncertain whether to join them or stay with her daughters. Ophelia gave a gentle nod, subtly indicating Alicia should come sit. If nothing else, they all needed to discuss the logistics of what would happen next. "You need a place to stay," Logan said, still reeling internally. "You can stay here tonight for the girls' sake." Alicia's shoulders slumped with relief. "Thank you. I promise. We'll leave as soon as I figure out our next steps. I just couldn't afford a long hotel stay." Ophelia's eyebrows rose slightly. Alicia's words carried more financial desperation than she'd expected from a woman once hailed as a startup success. The older, protective side of her wanted to ask direct questions, but she refrained for now. Logan sank onto the leather couch, covering his face with his hands. "I need to think," he muttered. "I have a conference call with my board tomorrow. They'll have seen all this in the news by now." Ophelia joined him on the couch, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "We'll handle it," she said quietly. "We just need to figure out what story to tell, how to manage the PR aspect." Alicia perched on an armchair, torn between gratitude and despair. "I never wanted it to become a scandal," she said, her voice trembling. but every door was closed to me when I tried to reach you privately. And my company, we lost our major investor. I'm out of time." An uneasy silence hovered as Logan tried to process this new role of savior, both as a father and as a potential lifeline to his ex-wife's faltering business. Ophelia, equally overwhelmed, sat quietly, bracing herself for a world that felt suddenly upside down. Morning light filtered through the penthouse's floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the three adults in various states of emotional exhaustion. The twins woke early, padding into the kitchen in their socks, looking for their mother. Alicia guided them to the breakfast nook, where Ophelia was pouring juice. Logan hovered by the coffee maker, his tablet already buzzing with alerts. Headlines sprawled across the screen. CEOs. Engagement eclipsed by secret daughters, high-flying ex-wife returns with twins. His stomach churned at the spectacle, imagining investors and board members reading the same sensational lines. In hushed tones, he pulled Alicia aside. "I have a meeting in an hour with my board," he said. "I need to address this head-on." Alicia nodded, looking at her daughters. Amelia was absorbed in a cereal box puzzle, and Isabel chatted softly with Ophelia. "I'll keep them here," she offered. "We'll stay out of your way." Logan's eyes flickered with uncertainty. "They're my daughters. I don't want to hide them, but I also have to protect them. And I have to protect my company. People will question my judgment, wonder if I've been lying about my private life." Alicia clasped her hands together, regret evident in her face. "I'll do whatever it takes to help you," she said. "I won't make any more public scenes. I promise." He studied her, unsure whether trust could be re-established, but he saw no malice, only desperation and remorse. "All right, let me handle the board, then we'll figure out a plan for you and the girls." Ophelia found herself alone with Alicia and the twins once Logan left for the board meeting. She swallowed the uneasy tension that rose in her chest. She barely knew Alicia, except as the woman who had once been Logan's wife and was now the mother of his children. Yet, looking at Amelia and Isabel, Ophelia also felt empathy. She wanted them to feel safe. They were innocents in a complex adult world. So she asked the girls if they liked painting, recalling the stash of art supplies Logan kept for a rare, creative indulgence. Soon, the kitchen table was transformed into a makeshift art studio, the twins busy with colored pencils and watercolor sets. Alicia observed quietly, occasionally smiling at Ophelia's gentle effort to connect. After a while, Alicia sighed. "I know this is awkward," she said, glancing at Ophelia. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen." Ophelia offered a cautious smile. "I don't blame the girls. I'm just trying to find where I fit in all of this." Alicia's eyes flickered with understanding. "I can't imagine how this must feel for you. One moment you're engaged, and the next you discover your fiancé has 2 children he never knew existed." Ophelia nodded. "I'm worried about Logan and the toll this is taking on him, but I also can't ignore that my life is different now too. I want to help. I just need to be sure I'm not sidelined entirely." Alicia placed a hand gently on Ophelia's arm, a surprising gesture of solidarity. "For what it's worth," she said softly, "I don't intend to come between you two. I'm here because of my daughters, and because I'm desperate." In that moment, Ophelia saw a woman much like herself, someone who had loved Logan once, who had chased dreams, and who was now facing the harsh consequences of choices made under duress. They shared a fragile understanding, though tension still lingered beneath the surface. Across town, Logan's board meeting was fraught with concern and thinly veiled accusations. A few members felt blindsided, as though Logan had hidden essential facts that might affect the company's stability or brand image. Others were more sympathetic, urging the board to separate Logan's personal life from his professional leadership. Logan addressed them with controlled resolve. "I had no knowledge of the twins until last night," he insisted, while his PR head, Cynthia Townsend, confirmed that she too was taken by surprise. My focus remains on Carrington Innovations. However, I will also be stepping up to my responsibilities as a father. He fielded questions about potential lawsuits, custody battles, and the impact on the company's stock price. By the end, the board grudgingly acknowledged that he had to handle the situation both publicly and privately. They gave him a tentative green light to manage the crisis on his own terms, provided his personal upheaval did not interfere with corporate performance. After the meeting, Logan stood in his office, gazing out at Chicago's skyline. The city he loved now seemed ready to devour him at the first sign of weakness. He recalled Amelia's shy smile and Isabel's wide-eyed curiosity at the mention of painting. They were real, flesh and blood children, his children. Regardless of the corporate fallout, he had to do right by them. Back at the penthouse, Alicia had managed to secure an informal phone call with a venture capitalist. Still, she knew that her reputation hung by a thread. The tabloid frenzy could scare off any serious investor, so she downplayed the scandal, focusing on her startup's core strengths. Meanwhile, Ophelia served sandwiches to the twins for lunch, fielding questions about Logan's work. Amelia munched thoughtfully. "Daddy has a big office?" she asked. Ophelia smiled. "Yes, a very big one. Maybe you'll see it someday." When Logan returned, he was greeted by squeals of excitement from the twins, who ran to show him their artwork. The tension between him and Alicia flared briefly when she tried to ask about the board meeting, but his mood lifted at the sight of his daughters. They were already calling him Daddy, a sweet yet surreal title that tugged at his heart. Cynthia phoned, urging them to issue a formal statement to the press. By evening, a short release went out. Logan Carrington recently learned of the existence of his twin daughters. He and Miss Alicia Bradford are working together privately to ensure their well-being. We request respect and privacy during this time. Logan shut off his phone after that, emotionally drained. He sat by the living room window, lights off, the city spread out like a glittering sea. He thought about the swirl of confusion and the seemingly insurmountable task of merging fatherhood with his demanding career. Yet in those silent moments, a sense of guarded hope flickered within him. Over the next few days, a strange new routine formed within the penthouse. The twins explored the space like it was an enchanted castle, and Logan found himself learning the rhythms of bedtime stories and morning cartoons, sometimes with Ophelia at his side, sometimes with Alicia guiding him. The tension between Logan and Alicia remained complicated. A part of him still felt betrayed. Another part realized that their marriage had been so fiery, so all-consuming in ambition and pride, that it left no room for vulnerability. Perhaps Alicia truly believed she was sparing them both more pain. Ophelia, for her part, struggled with conflicting emotions. She adored the twins, seeing them laugh, seeing how they gazed at Logan with budding trust. Yet she felt her own position become murkier. Were they still planning a wedding? Was it postponed? The ring remained on her finger, but the promise felt overshadowed by urgent family matters. Meanwhile, Alicia pursued every lead she could to save her startup. She met with potential investors in discreet venues, hoping not to attract paparazzi. Each night, she'd return looking either more hopeful or more dejected, greeting her daughters with the exhausted smile of a parent battling the world. Inevitably, the paparazzi caught Alicia stepping out of a private business club downtown, spurring fresh headlines about secret meetings and money woes. Logan's name got dragged into the narrative, with speculation that he was funneling resources into Alicia's company. When confronted by these rumors, Logan's temper flared. The last thing he wanted was for the world to think he was buying Alicia's loyalty or that he was a puppet for her business. He called Alicia out on it late one evening after the twins were asleep. "You know these rumors harm both of us," he said, pacing near the panoramic windows. "Investors doubt my focus on Carrington Innovations. Some even suspect I'm stealing funds to prop up your company." Alicia looked up from her laptop, dark circles under her eyes. "I'm not the one leaking information," she insisted. "I'm being discreet, but reporters can smell a story a mile away." Ophelia joined the conversation, arms folded. "Is there any way to limit your exposure? Maybe hold these meetings within Logan's offices or under your new investor's roof?" Alicia shrugged, frustration evident. "I don't exactly have an office anymore. My staff is working remotely. I know this is complicated, but I'm fighting for my livelihood." The argument simmered. Ophelia, trying to mediate, also felt protective of Logan. The precarious balance threatened to snap, and it would take a careful hand to steer them back to common ground. One morning, Alicia received a call from Marisa Delgado, an old business rival turned advisor who had connections in European tech markets. Marisa had heard about Alicia's predicament and was willing to explore a partnership, potentially even an investment. Alicia's hopes soared. Logan, hearing the news, offered to set up a meeting at Carrington Innovations' top-floor conference room, hoping to shield Alicia from paparazzi. Ophelia stood aside, watching them plan, feeling a knot in her chest. She could see a flicker of the old synergy between Logan and Alicia, reminiscent of a time when they conquered the tech industry as a power couple. Yet, the next day's meeting was all business. Logan introduced Alicia to a small team of analysts who grilled her on the specifics of her product. Alicia handled herself with poised confidence. Despite the swirling media frenzy, her brilliance was undeniable. By the end of the session, Marisa seemed intrigued enough to request a second meeting. Later that evening, they returned to the penthouse, the twins clinging to Alicia's coat, excitedly telling her about how Ophelia had taken them to the Children's Museum earlier in the day. For a moment, everything felt normal. A father returning from work, a mother stepping in from an important meeting, and two lively children eager for attention. But the undercurrents of past betrayals, unspoken guilt, and uncertain futures still rippled beneath the surface. Ophelia couldn't help but notice how seamlessly Logan and Alicia communicated when discussing business. Their minds operated on the same frequency. Though logically she knew it didn't necessarily mean rekindled romance, her heart still twinged with a quiet fear. As the days passed, Alicia's investor prospects brightened. The media, sensing the story was losing its explosive edge, began to back off. A few tabloid outlets still tried to unearth dirt, but with fewer public appearances, interest waned. Logan decided to introduce a measure of stability for the twins. He arranged visits to local preschools, wanting to set them up for the coming school year. Alicia agreed, though it was initially jarring to see Logan take the reins in parenting decisions. After all, she'd been the sole caregiver for 5 years. Yet, she found relief in sharing the burden. One afternoon, while the twins napped, Alicia and Logan sifted through school brochures at the penthouse dining table. Ophelia sat nearby, reading them too, offering occasional input. The scene was almost domestic, a portrait of 3 adults invested in 2 children's future. But it came with the knowledge that Alicia's stay was temporary, and Ophelia was still figuring out her place in this suddenly expanded family. Eventually, Alicia received positive news. Marisa Delgado's team was offering a lifeline, a substantial investment that would allow her to rebuild her company, provided she relocated to a new office space. It meant she could move out of Logan's penthouse, secure a more permanent home for Amelia and Isabel, and ease the strange living arrangement that kept everyone on edge. Logan, surprisingly, felt both relief and a pang of sadness. He relished having his daughters close, discovering new facets of their personalities each day. When he looked at Amelia's artwork or helped Isabel solve a puzzle, he found a sense of fulfillment he'd never experienced in business triumphs. The thought of them leaving weighed on him more than he cared to admit. The next week was filled with preparations for Alicia's move. She found a suitable apartment not too far from Logan's, with enough space for the twins and a small home office to run her newly funded startup. The tension in the penthouse noticeably eased. Even Ophelia felt some relief, hoping that with Alicia's departure, she and Logan could refocus on their engagement and future plans. Still, Ophelia couldn't deny she would miss seeing Amelia and Isabel's bright faces each morning. In their short stay, she had grown to love the innocence and curiosity they brought into her once orderly life. She felt guilty acknowledging her relief at Alicia's move, as if it made her less caring. The tangle of emotions left her unsure of her own heart. On the morning of the move, the twins bounced around excitedly, helping Logan carry small boxes, mostly stuffed animals and coloring books. Alicia directed the movers, who loaded up the larger items into a truck. There was a hushed reverence about the moment. Despite the vow to stay civil, everyone felt the weight of this transition. When it was time to go, Alicia offered a quiet thank you to Logan, her gaze lingering on him with a mixture of gratitude and lingering regret. He nodded, carefully hugging each twin. "You can visit any time," he told them. Amelia and Isabel clung to him, promising they would. Ophelia stood beside him as they watched Alicia herd the girls into the elevator. She slipped her hand into Logan's. He squeezed it, 1,000 unspoken thoughts passing between them. The elevator doors slid shut, taking Alicia and the twins down to the bustling streets below. In the aftermath of Alicia's departure, the penthouse felt oddly empty. Logan threw himself into work, finalizing a new product launch, negotiating deals, and reassuring board members that the family scandal was under control. Ophelia, meanwhile, worked from her own office, trying to re-establish normalcy. But normalcy wasn't so easily regained. Each day, Logan found himself checking in on Alicia and the twins. Sometimes under the guise of helping with legalities, he wanted his name on the twins' birth certificates, a formal custody arrangement in place. Other times, he just wanted to hear Amelia's lisping excitement or Isabel's latest puzzle conquest. Ophelia encouraged him, aware that stepping into fatherhood required time and consistency. At night, when she and Logan shared quieter moments, they'd talk about how to integrate the twins into their future. Yet her lingering insecurity kept creeping back. Alicia and Logan had a shared history that ran deeper than any fleeting romance. On the weekends, the twins began to spend time at the penthouse. Ophelia joined them on excursions to the park or the aquarium, discovering a real bond with the children. She'd find herself laughing at their silly jokes, lost in their bright-eyed wonder. Slowly, she started to feel more like a prospective stepmother than a third wheel. And yet, the memory of Alicia's triumphant synergy with Logan, even in the aftermath of heartbreak, hovered in the background. Ophelia wrestled with her fears, knowing jealousy would only erode the budding unity they were trying to build. Months passed, and the media scrutiny finally waned to a dull murmur. Alicia's startup found its footing with Marisa Delgado's backing, and she settled into the role of a busy tech CEO juggling motherhood. She and Logan established a cordial co-parenting dynamic, complete with scheduled visits and collaborative decisions on the twins' education and extracurricular activities. The tension between Alicia and Ophelia also thawed. While never best friends, they developed a respectful rapport. After all, they both cared about the same two little girls, and the well-being of those children trumped lingering resentments or insecurities. Logan breathed a sigh of relief as life aligned itself into a pattern that felt almost normal. He was a father now, an unexpected title that, despite its challenges, filled him with a new sense of purpose. He no longer saw his penthouse as just a symbol of wealth and status. On weekends, it transformed into a playground for coloring books, story time, and children's laughter. Ophelia Seeing Logan's genuine happiness when the twins were around, felt her own heart swelling with affection for them. She initiated more family outings, including Alicia at times, when schedules allowed. While awkward at first, these combined outings gradually solidified a sense of unity. A fractured family was beginning to heal, shaped into something unconventional yet profoundly meaningful. The engagement between Logan and Ophelia had been overshadowed for a while, but it remained a constant undercurrent in their lives. One quiet evening, as they sat on the penthouse balcony overlooking the twinkling Chicago skyline, Ophelia finally broached the topic again. They sipped their wine in thoughtful silence, the cool breeze rippling through Ophelia's hair. "We never set a date," she said softly, staring at the ring on her finger. "I know everything changed when Alicia showed up, but I still want to marry you." Logan reached for her hand, gazing at the diamond he had placed there months earlier. "I want that too," he said. "I just didn't want to rush you. Everything got so complicated. Are you sure you're ready for this? My life isn't just mine anymore. It's entangled with 2 children and a co-parenting relationship." Ophelia nodded, tears prickling her eyes. "I know, and I'm okay with that. I love you, Logan. I care about Amelia and Isabel. I'm ready for the messiness, as long as we face it together." A wave of relief washed over him. The fear that she might balk at his new responsibilities had gnawed at him, but her calm acceptance was proof of her commitment. He leaned in and kissed her gently. The next day, he invited Alicia to coffee, wanting to explain that he intended to move forward with the wedding and ensure that the twins felt included. Alicia seemed genuinely pleased, if a little nostalgic. "They'll be so excited. They love Ophelia," she said, stirring her latte. "I'm happy for you both." Logan felt some tension lift. If Alicia truly harbored no desire to reclaim their past relationship, then perhaps this new family tapestry could function strange and improvised, but functional nonetheless. Time moved quickly after that, and Logan and Ophelia began making formal wedding arrangements. They opted for a smaller, more intimate ceremony than originally planned, wary of media sensationalism. They wanted the twins at the heart of it, not overshadowed by paparazzi. Invitations were sent discreetly, mostly to close friends, family, and a few trusted colleagues. Cynthia Townsend carefully managed the public statement, framing it as a private union rather than a lavish spectacle. Despite Logan's high-profile status, they aimed for a day that would be personal and meaningful. Alicia had her own life in full swing, busy building the next phase of her company. She arranged her schedule to accommodate the wedding date, surprising Logan by offering to help with floral arrangements, a throwback to the philanthropic galas she once organized with him. It was a gesture of goodwill and perhaps a final nod to the cooperative partnership they had revived in a platonic capacity. As the date approached, Amelia and Isabel grew increasingly excited. They tried on flower girl dresses, swirling in front of mirrors. Watching them squeal with glee, Logan felt a rush of gratitude. A year ago, he hadn't even known they existed. Now, he couldn't imagine life without them. Ophelia gently combed the girls' hair, teaching them how to carry their little baskets of petals. Alicia, observing from a corner, offered pointers in a warm tone. For once, the weight of the past seemed distant, replaced by a tangible sense of unity in the present. A few days before the wedding, complications arose. One of Logan's major clients threatened to pull out of a multi-million-dollar contract, citing the CEO's unstable personal life. Rumors had circulated that he was devoting too much attention to family matters. Logan's anger flared as he argued with the client's representatives, defending his right to have a personal life. Yet, he also recognized that business could be ruthlessly impersonal. Having your name plastered across tabloids, even tangentially, could make some investors skittish. He consulted with Ophelia and even Alicia, seeking their input. Alicia suggested he let his proven track record speak for itself, reminding the client how Carrington Innovations had delivered on every project. Ophelia advised a direct but polite conversation, emphasizing Logan's long-term vision. In a decisive move, Logan called the client personally, calmly stating the facts. "My family situation doesn't affect the excellence of my company's work. You know our track record. If you choose to walk away, that's your decision, but you'll lose a valuable partnership." The gamble paid off. The client, wary of negative publicity, agreed to stay on board for now. The crisis averted, Logan felt an urgency to finalize the wedding arrangements. He was weary of others dictating his personal narrative. He wanted to stand beside Ophelia, promising a future on their own terms. Finally, the wedding day arrived. It took place at the same Ambrose Hotel ballroom, an intentional choice to reclaim the location where everything had once fallen apart. This time, only a small cluster of trusted friends, relatives, and essential staff gathered under the sparkling chandeliers. Ophelia stood in a quiet room off the main ballroom, adjusting her simple yet elegant white gown. She took a trembling breath, glancing at her reflection in the mirror. So much had happened since Logan first proposed: a chaotic unveiling of secret children, a near dissolution of trust, a full-blown media circus. And yet, here she was, about to take vows with the man she loved. Logan waited at the end of the aisle, flanked by a handful of family members. His eyes shone with a mixture of joy and relief. The string quartet began to play softly. Amelia and Isabel, dressed in pastel pink frocks, walked ahead of Ophelia, scattering petals with giddy smiles. Their father winked at them, pride swelling in his chest. Alicia sat in the front row, her posture composed. She was a vision of calm acceptance. No bitterness, no drama, just a faint, genuine smile when she caught Logan's eye. The circle of their past was closing, opening the door for a future they could navigate cooperatively. Ophelia stepped forward, her heart pounding in her ears. She reached Logan, who gently took her hands. The officiant spoke about love, resilience, and how the strongest bonds often form after surviving life's storms. Every word resonated with the trials they had faced. When the officiant asked for the vows, Logan spoke first. "Ophelia," he said, voice trembling with emotion, "I've navigated corporate battles and soared to new heights in business, but nothing has challenged or rewarded me like loving you. You stood by me through revelations that could have broken us. You gave me the courage to embrace fatherhood, to find beauty in the chaos. I promise to stand by you, to honor you, and to grow with you no matter what life throws our way." Tears glistened in Ophelia's eyes as she responded. "Logan, I fell in love with your ambition, your passion, and your belief that anything is possible. I never imagined our journey would involve so many twists. But through every moment, I learned that you are a man who loves fiercely and protects those he cares about. I promise to love and support you, to share in your joys and burdens, and to nurture the family we've unexpectedly become." The officiant nodded, turning to the small gathering. If anyone has just cause why these two should not be united, a hush fell. In another story, perhaps this would be the moment for a dramatic objection. But here, no one spoke. Alicia, her eyes shimmering, simply dipped her head, silent approval. The twins watched with rapt attention, fidgeting with their petals. Rings were exchanged, and at the officiant's cue, Logan and Ophelia sealed their vows with a kiss. The small congregation erupted in gentle applause. Amelia and Isabel, unsure of wedding etiquette, squealed happily and clapped their hands, running to hug their father and new stepmother. Alicia walked up after the ceremony, hugging Logan briefly, then offering a sincere embrace to Ophelia. The moment felt surreal, an acknowledgement that the bitterness of the past had evolved into a tenuous but genuine friendship. "Congratulations," Alicia murmured. "I'm glad you found peace." Ophelia smiled back, tears threatening to spill. "Thank you." In that instant, she understood that they were not simply burying old grudges, but building something new. The reception was modest, a dinner in a smaller banquet room, softly lit by chandeliers. Close friends raised toasts, and the twins enjoyed an early slice of cake before drowsiness overtook them. Ophelia danced with Logan, finally feeling like she could breathe freely. No paparazzi, no scandal, just an intimate celebration of love, triumphing over unforeseen obstacles. At one point, Logan gazed down at her, resting his chin on her hair. "You ready for this life?" he whispered. Shared custody schedules, board meetings, bedtime stories, and all? Ophelia laughed gently. "I've never been more ready for anything." They continued to dance, the swirl of the moment enveloping them in a cocoon of hope and promise. In the weeks that followed, they adapted to married life, a life that included the twins' alternating weekends and weekday visits. Some days, the penthouse was filled with laughter and the occasional sibling squabble. Other days, it was just Logan and Ophelia enjoying a quiet evening after a long workday. Alicia and Logan formalized their co-parenting arrangement in court, making sure every detail was clear and equitable. The judge, seeing two responsible adults who had moved past personal drama, commended them for prioritizing the children's well-being. Ophelia found herself emotionally stretched. She was a newlywed, but she was also a stepmother, forging a relationship with two girls who already had a loving mother. She navigated the delicate balance of bonding with them without overstepping Alicia's role. Sometimes she sought Alicia's advice on little things like what bedtime stories the twins preferred or which brand of sneakers they liked best. Surprisingly, Alicia seemed open to such exchanges, making the process more cooperative than competitive. Meanwhile, Carrington Innovations rebounded from any negative press. If anything, some saw Logan's public acceptance of fatherhood as a sign of reliability and integrity. The board breathed easier and major clients relaxed. Business soared. Alicia's startup also gained momentum under the new investment deal, and she attended several conferences to showcase her rejuvenated platform. Despite lingering media curiosity about her personal life, she managed to keep the focus on her product. Marissa Delgado remained a solid partner, ensuring that Alicia's personal drama didn't overshadow her professional acumen. One evening, as Logan and Ophelia sat reviewing plans for a short family vacation, just a weekend getaway to a lakeside cabin with Amelia and Isabel, Logan's phone buzzed. It was Alicia, sounding distressed. One of the twins had fallen ill, feverish and lethargic. Alicia was taking her to an urgent care clinic. Panic flared in Logan's eyes. Without hesitation, he asked Ophelia to grab coats and jumped into the car to meet Alicia at the clinic. Once there, they found Isabel resting on a cot, cheeks flushed and eyes half-lidded, while Alicia hovered anxiously. The diagnosis was a viral infection. Nothing life-threatening, but the doctor wanted to keep Isabel for observation given her high temperature. Logan stayed by his daughter's side, stroking her hair and offering reassurances. Alicia gripped his other hand, relief etched into her face when the doctor confirmed it was a manageable condition. As midnight approached, Ophelia returned from a coffee run, distributing hot cups to Logan and Alicia. The three of them took turns whispering encouragement to Isabel. Amelia was at a neighbor's place, spared the hospital environment. In that sterile clinic room, a strange kind of harmony emerged. Whatever history they shared, whatever fights and heartbreak had once existed, they were a unit of adults caring for the well-being of a child. By dawn, Isabel's fever began to subside. Alicia dozed in a chair, Logan's jacket draped over her. Ophelia stood watch, quietly reflecting on how love, in all its forms, could bind people together despite every fracture. After Isabel recovered, The vacation plans were postponed, but it didn't dampen the growing sense of unity. The near crisis reminded everyone that life was fragile, that the twins needed the steadfast support of all the adults in their orbit. Days turned into weeks, then months. The co-parenting schedule became second nature. Alicia grew her company with new European contracts, while Logan's firm soared to record profits. Ophelia developed a warm rapport with the twins. She wasn't mommy, but she was a dependable figure in their eyes, someone who'd paint with them or braid their hair. Occasionally, Alicia and Logan still clashed over small parenting decisions, bedtimes, screen time, or educational choices. However, they resolved these tensions more maturely than they ever could have during their marriage. Each conflict ended with mutual respect and a focus on the children's best interests. Ophelia's role also expanded as she found herself planning family get-togethers, birthdays, and holiday traditions that included Alicia. While unconventional, these gatherings worked because each participant recognized the importance of creating a supportive environment for Amelia and Isabel. The tabloids lost interest in their story as it lacked the drama of betrayal or sensational developments. Instead, it became a quieter tale of a fractured family learning to function in harmony. One sunny afternoon, Logan received a surprise phone call from a journalist at a reputable financial magazine. The reporter wanted to do a feature on innovative family structures and how high-powered executives balance family life with business empires. Initially, Logan hesitated, wary of dragging Alicia and the twins back into the public eye. But after discussing it with Ophelia and Alicia, they agreed to participate under strict guidelines, no intrusive questions, no personal attacks, just an exploration of their journey toward a workable co-parenting model. The resulting article portrayed them as a modern, blended family, navigating unexpected challenges with empathy and determination. It touched on how Logan had discovered fatherhood, how Ophelia embraced a stepmother role, and how Alicia reinvented herself while also collaborating with her ex-husband for the sake of the twins. The piece was refreshingly positive, focusing on growth, forgiveness, and mutual respect. When it was published, Logan received numerous messages from colleagues and even strangers, expressing admiration for how they managed their complicated situation. Many found inspiration in the idea that old wounds didn't have to define the future. At home, Ophelia framed a copy of the magazine feature. She placed it on a side table where the twins could see it, minus the more grown-up sections, of course. Amelia and Isabel pointed out the photos, giggling at how Daddy looks so serious and how Mommy and Ophelia look pretty. For them, it was just another snapshot of the life they knew, one with two homes, two mother figures, and a father who adored them. On a crisp spring afternoon, Logan and Ophelia revisited the very hotel ballroom where their engagement party had crumbled into chaos. This time, the occasion was more intimate, away from prying eyes. They stood under the same glittering chandeliers, but only a handful of loved ones gathered, close friends, a few family members, and, of course, two little flower girls, Amelia and Isabel. Alicia sat in the front row, a serene smile on her face as she watched the girls scatter petals along the aisle. Despite the complexities of their past, a fragile harmony had formed. Logan looked dashing in a tailored suit, while Ophelia wore a simple yet elegant gown. As she walked toward him, she caught Alicia's eye and they exchanged a faint, understanding nod. The ceremony was brief but heartfelt. The officiant spoke of love, second chances, and the bravery it took for two souls to merge their worlds, especially when those worlds were already filled with responsibilities and secrets. Vows were exchanged, tears were shed, and the twins looked on, clapping in delight. When Logan and Ophelia sealed their union with a tender kiss, they did so knowing that life was seldom neat and never predictable. It was messy, filled with heartbreak, renewal, and the daily choice to persevere. But in that messy tapestry, they had discovered a family worth fighting for, a truth worth telling, and a love that could withstand the harshest storms. As they walked down the aisle, hand in hand, they carried the promise of a future woven together by honesty, compassion, and an unwavering commitment to each other and to two little girls who forever changed their lives. Every twist and turn in Logan's journey serves as a reminder that life's greatest challenges often lead us toward the people we need most. What began as a seemingly perfect engagement unraveled into a labyrinth of hidden truths and fractured loyalties, but through heartbreak and confrontation, a new family was forged. Alicia's resilience, Ophelia's unwavering support, and the innocent wonder of two young girls taught Logan that sometimes the best plans emerge after chaos shatters the old. Today, as they step forward into the unknown, they do so together, proving that redemption and happiness can blossom from even the most tangled roots. If this story moved you, inspired you, or simply made you believe a little more in the power of second chances, share it with someone who loves a heartfelt drama. Give the video a like, leave a comment, and subscribe now for more stories that illuminate the human spirit.